say we're living through a skin, yeah.
The power of the music just transcends all boundaries, and there's literally nothing they can do to stop it. COVID for me was an impetus to get activated because I realized that my voice was needed.
Social media deliver propaganda.
If I died today, I would die a happy soul, and my soul will transition into the next dimension, knowing that I did what I was here to do.
Wake up! I hope that got your attention. Consuming content passively is how governments and the media program your mind. So let this be your reminder. Please be conscious when you tune in to any form of content. Now, if you're ready to live free and prosper in a world that's changing fast, make sure you hit the subscribe button right now on your screen and help us to reach over 50,000 subscribers. It's a free and simple way to help support our show. And if you're ready to break free from the algorithm and help us to beat censorship, then please join the Dan Astin-Gregory newsletter right now at danastingregory.com/podcast so you never miss an episode. It's completely free, and you'll find the link to danastingregory.com/podcast in the description. Please literally do this right now, so no matter what the big tech platforms do, we can always reach you. Thank you so much for your support. Music used to mean something. It moved people. It sparked revolutions. It told the truth. But somewhere along the way, it got hijacked. Music has been stripped of its soul. Artists silenced, lyrics sterilized, authenticity replaced by the algorithm. What we hear now is packaged, plastic, and painfully empty. But something's shifting. I recently sat down with Prezence, one of the most powerful voices in the rising wave of conscious, independent music. And let me tell you, this is about more than music. It's medicine. It's rebellion. It's a soundtrack for this moment in history. We talked about how COVID woke up a generation of artists, how decentralization is changing the music game, and why your voice, your creativity, and your courage matter more than ever. If you're hungry for truth, music with a message, and a future worth fighting for, you're going to love this conversation. But don't just watch the podcast. Go listen to Prezence, support his music, share his message, because when we amplify voices like his, we build a new soundtrack for the world that we want to live in. If you've ever felt like the system is broken and that music and artistry could be part of the answer, then this one is for you. Let's get into it and join us as we take a seat in Morelia, Mexico for this fantastic conversation with Prezence.
Prezence in the house. What's up? Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Here we
Thanks
are.
for having me on the show.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure to reconnect with you, man. And he gave a great talk earlier. You talked about your bungee jumping experience and that step of just stepping through your fear into courage.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really a beautiful point. I'm really into mountain biking and skiing, have been since I was really young, and just pushing myself past fear. And I feel like that's kind of inextricably connected with having the courage to tell the truth in the face of lies, tell the truth in the face of deception.
Yes.
You know, and to be authentic as well, being authentic to ourselves and standing for what we know is right in the face of tyranny.
Yeah.
I think all of that takes courage. And so courage can be like a daily practice. It's something we can tap into through creativity, through art, through our self-discipline, through showing up to lift weights or journal or whatever it may be. So yeah, that was the first thing I wanted to.
Well, let's riff off that
there.
because when I came here last year, on the first day, and we're at the People's Reset for those of you at home in Mexico, I was sat right over there, just not far in our island, but you can't see it on the camera, but right in our island having this amazing food that Yoshi and Paula had provided from Ecuador. It's an amazing banquet, like arrival banquet. I was just blown away. But they were talking about the opening music, the music that night, and everyone was saying, you got to check out Prezence, you got to check out Prezence, it's going to blow your mind. I walked in, and it wasn't you. But I thought it was you. So like, you got to go see Prezence. And all the music was great, don't get me wrong. But then you were announced, and they played your set, and I was like, whoa, this guy blows the house down. Honestly, I was like, this guy's going to become a household name. He is so tight in his music, so authentic. But you were the first person I saw outside of Europe speaking into these moments, like through the music. And what was sad for me during the COVID chapter is that if you look at a lot of the revolutionary periods in history, like music has been such an essential component of that revolutionary time. but it was in Europe and the UK, it was massively lacking. Like there was massively lacking. There's like Peter Conway in the UK who was writing songs about it, and a few others. And now there's a trailblazing. What was it like for you as a musician? You know, witnessing these times. What was your calling to like step into this moment and speak into this moment?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that the pressure that I started to feel during COVID became increasingly intense. And I know a lot of people felt that way.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was just starting to make music again after a long kind of hiatus of going to college, going to school, kind of playing the role that society had sort of indoctrinated me and conditioned me to think that I needed to do. And I'd also gone to music school at USC, which is a very well-known music school, very difficult to get into. And I studied the music industry there and got to work with some really, really talented people.
Wow.
And I also had the ability to see kind of an inside glimpse into what Los Angeles and the music industry is like. And I realized instantly that was not going to be for me.
What was it you saw?
You know, I think one of the things that I've been starting to speak out more and more about is like there was a lot of people who are involved in both the music industry and the pornography industry, in both.
Wow.
And those two things went together quite often.
Wow.
And also just, I felt a sense of deep jadedness from the people who are longtime veterans. I had some professors and people who I learned from who are amazing musicians and had worked at the highest, most elite levels of the music industry, but a lot of them became extremely jaded, I think, because they saw how it's this kind of meat grinder and it takes in these artists, and now more than ever they're put into these 360 deals where they're essentially every single revenue stream is taken from them and a percentage of it goes to the label. They're basically bought out with a giant contract where they're given a advance of, you know, maybe a few $100,000, maybe $500K or something like that if they're a really good artist. And then their entire life is owned from that point forward. Every single revenue stream that they are involved with is owned. And I saw that and I just ran the opposite direction. I kind of went back to my roots of just outdoor recreation, mountain biking, skiing, kind of being a ski bum, not knowing how I was going to make things work. But then when COVID happened, I realized that I wasn't really fully using my gifts in service the way that I needed to be. And I remember listening to a particular Mark Passio video where he's like, to know and not to act is not to know or care.
Wow.
And that hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, wow, to know and not to act is not to know or care. It really sunk in. And that became something that I integrated as a lyric in my song Realign.
Amazing.
And
I hadn't clocked that. That's awesome. Oh, now I see that.
Right. And so, you know, I think that, I guess to answer your question, hopefully this is answering your question, COVID for me was an impetus to get activated because I realized that my voice was needed. I realized that my medicine was needed and my unique gifts and my skill set was needed. And I wasn't doing it for any kind of recognition or money or anything like that. I just realized that there was something that needed to be said.
Yeah.
And through the process of saying those things that I needed to say, I transmuted a lot of my own inner suffering and my own inner pain. Actually, here's another quote that I'll riff on from Henna's talk earlier, where she said that, let me see if I can recall this one. She said that which we are, if we accept that which we are and we externalize it and work with it and create from it, then it can heal us. And if we ignore that who we are on the inside, it will destroy us.
Wow, so many parallels between that quote and Mark Passio's quote, actually.
Right, exactly. And so that was what I was experiencing. It was destroying me that I wasn't, using my gifts in service. And I knew that I needed to make a change. And so I just started to focus on making music that felt authentic to me and share the message the way I see it and the way that I experience the world and telling the truth. And the song Scam, which probably was the first song you heard of mine, which is still one of my more popular songs.
Was that the first one you wrote?
That was the first one where I felt like I just I don't even know where it came from. I was just feeling so frustrated. I'd been, yelled out of so many grocery stores and, yelled off of buses. And I was like, this is absolutely a scam. This is absolutely just the most ridiculous thing that's been pulled on humanity. And I wrote that song just out of a desire to channel my frustration and anger into something.
If you're tuning into this podcast, the chances are you're someone who thinks differently. You question the narratives, you want real freedom, and you're looking for unfiltered insights that can actually help you make sense of the world. But let's be real, social media is broken, big tech controls what you can see, and independent voices are being suppressed more than ever. That's exactly why I created the Live Free and Prosper membership community. Your private hub for uncensored conversations, exclusive deep dives, and direct access to a community of like-minded free thinkers. For just £5 a month, you get exclusive content that I can't share publicly, members-only Q&As, and the chance to connect with people who actually get it. So if you're serious about breaking free from the status quo and building a life on your own terms, then join us today. Just head to danastingregory.com/supporter or click the link in the description. That's danastingregory.com/supporter. I'll see you inside. Now, back to the show.
And it ended up creating a beautiful piece of art that resonated with a lot of people because so many people felt the same way.
Yeah.
And they'd felt that suppressed anger and that emotion that became released in a righteous way.
That's so powerful.
So
beautifully. I came here this time last year and heard that track and took it back with me. And my son at the time was 2, and he started riffing on he started singing with the words in your song. It's just like, yeah, my boy. It's 2 years old.
It's awesome.
But I think that's the beginning. So some of these tracks that are emerging are the beginning of what I had envisioned would happen in 2020. Like with such the in-your-face tyranny, especially and in UK at one point we had like millions of people, like over 1 million people on the streets.
Wow.
And there was people playing music, but it was still like for fun. Like it wasn't like they were writing songs necessarily. They might be hashing old anthems and like changing the lyrics, but it wasn't like dedicated creative work. And I apologize to anyone who was writing. I hadn't seen it, but there was nothing that kind of enshrined the movement. But now it feels like that music is coming. I mean, coming here and the artists, where do you think we're at in terms of like a conscious music revival for this period?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. And I totally agree with you. And I feel like, I think you said this in your talk today, that our movement is beginning to have its own soundtrack.
Yeah.
Also, another tie to Henna's talk, which also was amazing. Everyone watching should go and check out the replay of her talk today. But she said that cultural revival is the only key to basically saving humanity, because we have to basically express our inner, whatever needs to come out and transmute that into something beautiful so that we can move through what we're moving through and step fully into our power and our authenticity. And I think that through this process of the last 4 years, we are seeing this convergence, this co-creation. And it's not just the musicians. I mean, the music is one part of it, and I'm so grateful to be playing a role in that. But we have so many musicians, like just this weekend alone, Elias and Dub Effects are coming, and he's played so many larger crowds than this. He's sold out massive stadiums,
festivals,
and massive festivals, and he's still attracted to come and be here because he knows that he can feel the authenticity of the movement and how his music is, like Derek even said, is the soundtrack to the movement.
Absolutely.
And I feel like now we're in this period where there's this co-creative inspiration,
convergence, co-creation. It's all happening, and
it's connected to so many things. Like this is such a multifaceted event that we're experiencing, where you're bringing your gifts of speaking and inspiration and entrepreneurship and organization, and others are bringing offerings of health and how we can step into our full vitality so that we actually have the energy to actualize our potential. And then other people are offering, meditation and yoga, and everybody is needed at this time. I think that's like the key thing that I want to stress to people out there, and kind of going back to my previous point, is that everybody's voice is needed.
Everyone has a role.
Everybody has something to offer.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter if, I have a lot of people coming up to me and saying, wow, I'm so inspired by your music. I've, you know, I'm aspiring to create and I want to get there. And I'm always just like, just do it. It's never too late. Just jump in.
Yes.
You know, it's literally never too late. Like my stepdad, who's in his 60s, we just got him a guitar. Merry Christmas, has a family.
Wow.
And he's stepping back into that and feeling so much joy and rejuvenation from reconnecting with his creativity. That's like, it's never too late. And everybody has something to offer at this time. And if everybody steps fully into that kind of self-responsibility of like, what can I offer? How can I be of service? And how can I, you know, take full responsibility for my contribution to the world instead of just complaining about, you know, the black-pilled problems and the constant stream of psyops, as I recently wrote a song about. You know, then we actually have a shot.
Yeah.
Actually, we have a great shot. Definitely. I feel super optimistic, and I think you do too. And I think that's one of the reasons why we vibe, because we see this optimistic perspective that like, wow, we actually have a shot at this.
Yeah, we believe in tomorrow.
Yeah.
The thing is as well, you said such an important thing about music and art and the different forms of arts. Those things are kind of the bedrock of culture, and our culture is shifting. I see this as part of a counterculture movement.
Yeah.
You know, when people think about counterculture, they think maybe about the 60s, but there are parallels, I think. That was a resistance against the system. Okay, there's all kinds of stories of co-ops and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
We get all that with this movement. But the dominant culture that we're in right now is unhealthy, it's unethical, it's suppressive, oppressive, whereas we're trying to create something natural, something liberated, something pure. And that's coming through in the cultural components of music and art now. And I'm so pleased to hear people are coming to you with inspiration, because I think it's the leader-follower paradigm we've talked about, is that first people need to see that it's possible, and then they will rise to the occasion and they'll find their own gift. So it's so powerful. You're helping to blaze the trail. For you personally, over this period, how have you changed or transformed over this period, having embraced this, having gone from watching what was happening in the crazy world, seeing what's happening in the music industry, pulling back, diving right in? How have you now evolved?
Yeah.
Person?
Well, I would say the biggest word that comes to mind is just fulfillment.
Wow.
I feel a deep sense of fulfillment and knowingness that if I died today, then I would die a happy soul, and my soul will transition into the next dimension, knowing that I did what I was here to do. Even if, like, you know, I have big dreams of selling out Red Rocks and playing massive stages and taking this to a whole new level, but I also am grateful for where I'm at in this present moment.
Yeah.
And I think this community has really reflected that back to me and encouraged me in a beautiful way. And I remember when I was looking in from the outside, like I'd been following Derek's work for years before I got activated, and Passio and Larkin Rose and a lot of these kinds of people before I really took the steps to bring my own offering to the table.
Amazing.
And I remember just feeling a sense of like despair and depression and emptiness and, you know, kind of internal chaos, because I knew that there was something within me, some latent potential, as you also alluded to in your talk, you know, talking about that potential within us. And there's always more potential. I loved how you made that point too, of like, there's always another level that we can take it to, but we also have to, you know, take it day by day and take it in the present moment and be grateful for where we're at. And I would say the thing that's shifted the most in me is I just feel so much more at peace with reality. Even if I were to get arrested or locked up, locked in a cage like Ross Ulbricht, or like, passed away from some crazy act of God. I'm not willing that, knock on wood. But I think that I just feel a sense of fulfillment, and I can feel that from you too. I can tell that you also feel that way.
Yes.
Whereas people who are living a lie, and it's no judgment, but there's a lot of people in our culture who are living a lie.
Yeah.
Our culture is all upside down. Everything is inverted. And if you're living a lie, deep down your soul is just begging to express itself authentically and begging for the truth.
Yeah.
And as soon as we start to step into living in alignment with our truth, our true nature, then all of that BS just fades away, and we feel a deep sense of peace, inner peace.
Yeah, I want to play on that thing around the upside down, because you shared a piece around the glimpse of the music industry people like yourself, Dub Effects, and others are now carving an independent path. What do you think this can do for the music industry? Because we talk about centralized governments and world governments. Let's be real. Like many of the industries, including the music industry, heavily centralized, monopolistic.
Yep.
I've got friends in the music industry in the UK in the festival business. It's like mad. It's like corporate monopolies squeezing the artists. The artists are always at the bottom of the tree. Yet they're the people come for.
Yeah.
It's
So they're getting like the short end of the stick every time.
It's so inverted.
Yeah.
It's so unfair. It's wild. So how do you see like this new renaissance of independent artistry forging a new path? Can you see a new path that enables you to sustain yourselves as a collective outside of the mainstream label setup?
Yeah, fantastic question, and absolutely. And I think that we're living in a time where the balance of power is shifting in all dimensions, whether it's, the banking power, whether it's, banking power to decentralized privacy coins and being our own banks, right? The same exact thing is happening with the music industry, or the power of being in the hands of the mainstream medical industry with these priests in the white lab coats telling everyone that you have to come to us to get your death care, to now people are taking responsibility for their own health. And I think the exact same thing can be said for the music industry, where actually, Dub Effects is a massive inspiration because he has actually already paved the way and shown how that can be done and how an artist can actually be successful while staying completely true to themselves, never signing major label contracts, anything like that. And he got his start by just busking on the streets and videos going viral just from the talent of busking on the streets. And he talked a lot about that at People's Reset UK, about this idea of rebel music, which is like we can completely forge our own path. And the more people that step into that and do that, it gives other people the confidence to do that. So Dub has given me the confidence to do that, where now I'm planning my own street music tour and I want to get other people involved with that as well.
Yes.
And, if I can, garner some more success that way, then I'll be also an example that other people can say, hey, look, Prezence did that. I'm going to go out and play music on the streets.
Yes.
And then we're going to have this ripple effect where more and more artists are going to step up and start raising the vibration and being able to support themselves financially and be able to actually make a living doing it. And the other small point I wanted to mention on that is we're seeing the rise of NFTs and, the tokenization and blockchain-based streaming platforms, where I think, the Spotify CEO last year made, I think he's worth like he made like 6 or 7 mil last year or something like that, or he might even be a billionaire. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
I was like, I was about to say billionaire, and then I was like, wait, that can't be right. And then it's like, yeah, it is actually right. That's absolutely absurd. So the Spotify CEO is a billionaire, and meanwhile, artists are making pennies on streams.
It's like the top 0.1% of the artists on the platform make any real money.
Right, but as we see that balance of power shifting, I can envision a world where, artists are able to create tokenized assets, digital assets around music, and be compensated very well for their art. And people can fundraise in different ways. People can collaborate in different ways, where revenue splits go to different people automatically without any need for courts to mediate anything.
Amazing. Yeah.
So that's where I see things going.
Wow.
And I just think that, I think that people just, the more that we stay authentic to the music and we let the music guide the way and let the truth guide the way, being in service to the truth above all else, all that stuff it'll figure itself out.
I agree.
In the long run.
I think the beautiful thing about some of these new tools and technologies is that it does put the music first, whereas at the moment the business is first, and then the artistry is almost squeezed out of it. We've got this plastic, fantastic, like modern pop that's just, it's got no soul to it. It's just empty vessel, and so now we can have this real genuine music. And I was a total muso when I was a teenager. So I would be hunting, and it felt like a unique time in history, or the end of a unique time in history, actually. I think we were my group, age group, were probably one of the last, and maybe I'm wrong, but as teenagers, we were hunting for the latest artists, the latest bands. We were looking for who's got the coolest tunes and the tracks. We were going to record stores, burn the music magazines, and it was just this excitement around them, finding like what's cutting edge, what's breaking through.
Yeah.
And it feels like that whole scene has just died, but it feels like what you're talking about could be a real revival of that. And now people are like hunting for the tune. Have you heard this track yet? And some of the tools will enable you, like you could be on the other side of the earth and you're getting paid because someone's shared your track.
Right.
There's so many amazing opportunities, I think, in the music space. And I really, I encourage all creatives to be thinking about these decentralized grassroots paths, because we can disrupt these major corporations.
Yes.
And bring the power back to the people and the creators. And rightly so, the creators should be the ones that are rewarding for bringing this gift to the earth.
Yeah.
Now, that's what it's about. So,
were you ever into Rage Against the Machine?
Yeah.
So I just saw a clip pop up on Instagram today of like them playing "Killing in the Name." Back, they literally looked like they were like 18 years old. They were so young, and they were playing to a crowd of, it had to have been 60 to 80,000 people, and speaking the truth through music. And I know that they kind of got, I remember they got a bit sidetracked here on the agenda, but anyways,
maybe give them a pass.
Give them a pass, or maybe, but. Anyways, I think that we're about to see something like that happen again, where it's
the ends are carried.
Yeah, the power of the music just transcends all boundaries, and there's literally nothing they can do to stop it if the message is strong enough and powerful enough. And the other thing is when we come together united and we really support each other, because we're going to have to do that in order to break through all of the walls that the mainstream culture has put up. So I feel like that's where, at the show the other night that we did, I felt so much power in just all the collaborations that were happening one after another, and just the synergy of the whole group coming together, building something so much more powerful than anything we could build on our own.
Absolutely.
And I know you have immense organizing power too, with the rallies and things that you put together during the lockdowns. And so the more we just continue to support each other, the more we're going to see this become mainstream culture.
Yeah.
And Terrence McKenna once said, "Culture is not your friend." And I honestly disagree.
Yeah.
I think culture can be a double-edged sword.
Yes,
I think culture can be used to mind control and program the masses, and in which case it's not your friend. But I think it can also be something that can be used to build new paradigms and completely liberate people.
Absolutely.
So we're the ones that create culture, and we decide whether we want to wield the sword for good or for evil.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's getting dark here.
I know we're getting a little dark, so might have to let's not do it almost. Yeah. But yeah.
So let's close out here then. What's next? What's next for you musically, and where are you going next?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've been talking about with my friend Kenny, who's over right here, he just put together a free Ross compilation album, which we actually released this 2 days. Oh yeah, I had the stickers. We actually released it 2 days before Ross was officially pardoned.
Yes.
And
tell people what you're referring to, because not everyone knows the story.
Yeah. So basically, Kenny Palorentano, he's been just pushing really hard to essentially raise the noise level on this issue. It's a social issue that more and more people are becoming aware of, that there's people locked up for victimless crimes, and Ross being one of the ones, for simply creating a website to allow people to engage in choosing what they want to put in their own bodies, and be able to, potentially buy sacraments, from people who they trust, and there's ratings, and you can actually do it safely versus maybe buying some drugs on the street where you have no idea what you're getting. So he was of the mindset of creating the first real free market around Bitcoin, which is incredibly beautiful. And that was many, many years ago, locked up anyways. And so Kenny has been, in an effort to raise awareness around this, he put together an album with a bunch of artists, myself, High Res, we had Illuminati Congo, we had Free Knots, just Derek 33, the list goes on.
Amazing.
And we just all came together to create a movement album. And I think that there's going to be more of that to come. We were just talking about the potential for that, of just like setting a deadline. And then when we set collective deadlines, it kind of encourages everybody to rise to the occasion, right? Like I knew there was a deadline for this, so I wasn't going to slack off. And, I was like, all right, I got to get this into Kenny by this day, or else it's not going to be able to make the album.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one really powerful thing that we're working on.
Awesome.
And then another thing, like I said, is just I'm feeling more and more called to do like renegade street music, playing in the woods, that kind of thing, going out on national public lands and setting up sound systems and just having whole rebel music shows, And because we have everything we need, we don't need big promoters, we don't need big venues, we don't need, all of this antiquated music industry stuff that has prevented the majority of artists from being able to break through that barrier. Like, I'm realizing we already have everything, and especially when we come together as a community united around shared values. So let's just do that. Let's just get out there and spread the word, and be servants to divine creation through art.
Yes, amen to that, brother.
So
Music with a message, it has the capabilities to build movements. That's what I'm seeing. And when I spoke with Dub, we did an interview together. The most resonant music he always creates is where it's got a deep message to it.
yeah,
And he's never forced that. He's always stayed aligned to his truth. But that's where the point of resonance is. And that's where I think you're absolutely right. We can get people in the streets, in the fields, in the trees, coming out, seeking out this music because it's in defiance of this established order and in the name of something new. And I think that is just,
I heard this term one time, harmonic defiance.
Yes,
which was it was in this book, Bringers of the Dawn, which was like this Pleiadian channeled text that I used to really be obsessed with. And she talked about this idea of harmonic defiance, which is where our defiance is so beautiful that it's like completely unstoppable. Like if you go and see Dub Effects, like his lyrics might be super in the face, anti-status quo, but it feels so freaking good that you just can't help but dance. Even a cop or a military personnel or government employee probably wouldn't be able to help but dance if they heard Dub playing in the streets. You know what I mean? So that's like the idea of harmonic defiance, and I feel like that's what we're doing.
Yes.
So
Right. Well, we'll better wrap this up before we end up completely in the dark. Tell us about where you're going next. There's a tour coming up in Costa Rica. I've got to bring this guy to the UK. Let us know in the comments if you want to see Prezence on the streets of the UK.
Yeah, I'd love that. I think we're going to make that happen. I've still been in touch with your production guys from People's Roots at UK about potentially putting something together. After this, I'm going to be at Anarchapulco in a couple weeks, the 3rd week of February. Also very, very like-minded gathering. And then, I'm thinking about going straight from Anarchapulco down to Costa Rica. Elias Clay and some other people are putting together a more synergy of conscious music and creation of good culture, creation of good vibrations. And so I think we're just going to keep it moving. And into the summer, I'm going to be at Rise and Vibes Festival in May, which is in Durango, Colorado. And it's a absolutely stacked lineup. Like last year, we had Steel Pulse, Tribal Seeds. This year, we have Protege and Tippy Igrade, who are two of my biggest inspirations. The Movement, Rising Appalachia. Wow. A lot of amazing musicians that are going to be there. So, just tap in with Dan and myself. My website is prezencemusic.com, PREZENCE music.com.
Do you have a preferred platform for people to watch or listen to your music?
I am about the idea of just multiple platforms because I think that I could be censored off of any of them at any time. So if you follow me wherever, I appreciate it. But I do have an email list on my own site, so that's also really helpful. Cool. What about you? Where's your preferred?
Well, I mean, I talked to Dub about this. He likes Bands in Town because they have a better kind of... was it Bands in Town?
Maybe Bandcamp?
Bandcamp in Town is a talk I did in the UK. Bandcamp, he says there's much more generous kind of compensation models for the artists there.
It is. Bandcamp is really cool. It's preserved that model of basically the majority of the donations go straight to the artists. And they're one of the only places where you can still actually purchase high resolution music files from the artist.
Yeah.
So if you're like me and you're an audio nerd, you want to lay down with some mushrooms and put headphones on and listen to the music the way it was intended to be listened after I spent hours in the studio toiling away to tweaking every last minute detail, and you can actually appreciate all those details. Bandcamp's the way to do it because you can download those high resolution files as the money that you support the artist, it primarily goes to the artist. So
amazing.
Yeah, man.
Please support Prezence. Please support this conscious music movement, this renaissance. It's been amazing spending time with you, brother.
You too, bro.
Can't wait to see where things go next. And he's seeing your music around the world, all the artists here. It's going to be absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate what you're doing as well and all the good vibes you bring and being a good dad and father and husband. And you're an inspiration as well. So thanks for everything you do, and we'll see you soon.
Appreciate that, bro.
Give it up for Prezence, a voice you need to keep on your radar. If you felt the vibe of this conversation, don't just listen, act. Please share his music, play it loud, send it to friends, blast it in the streets. Let this be the soundtrack of your resistance, because right now, we don't just need great music, we need truthful, fearless, soul-shaking music that reminds us of who we are and what we're fighting for. This movement won't be built upon algorithms. It will be built by people like us choosing to uplift the voices that matter. So please go ahead and stream Prezence's music wherever you choose to find him, on Bandcamp, Spotify, YouTube. Support his work. Please amplify this music. And in this moment, we can consciously choose our free and flourishing future. Thanks again for tuning in. Again, my name is Astin-Gregory. In order to support our work, please consider becoming a member of our supporter community and head over to danastingregory.com/supporter, where you'll get early access to all of our interviews, chance to be part of a community of free thinkers, and ultimately help us to keep the lights on and keep doing what we're doing here on this show. Thanks again. Hit subscribe. I'll see you soon.